Hey guys, it's me Ash here with Nerd Life, back with another episode of Feed the Beast. And as you can see, I'm up on the rooftop and I have this ridiculous convoluted looking contraption up here that I'm going to go over with you guys in this episode. I was going to build the stuff with you, but it was just didn't happen. I'm sorry I didn't get to build along, but I will try to describe what I'm looking at as best as I can. As you can see over there, that is where our first quarry was, and the filler from last episode's done an amazing job. The next thing we're going to have to do is fill that second quarry in and hook up a new quarry. So keep on keeping on. But as you can see, using the quarry to pump out all the dirt and cobble that it mines into the filler, which then uses that dirt and cobble to fill in the hole, worked awesome. Now, what we have here is a automated rubber farm. What it does is it uses 3 machines to collect rubber trees, wood, and so forth. And it is it will use as an I'm trying to make sure that this thing is working correctly. Yeah, it's doing it. Awesome. It's doing it. It's doing it. Okay, so what's happening is this is an arboretum. This thing uses humus and whatever kind of tree sapling you want in this slot to automatically lay out a square of this humus, which is what the trees are going to use to grow on, which is basically like fertilized land. And it will plant whatever tree saplings you put on there into this. Then it comes the second machine, which is this one. This is a logger. Now it doesn't have an interface, it just does its thing. You can type in logger, it's pretty simple. You can make it, and that machine cuts down the logs in the area automatically, gathers them within itself, and then spits it out if you have a pipe hooked to it. If you don't have a pipe hooked to it, God knows what's going on in there, because there's not like a reservoir you can look into. It doesn't have an inventory built in. I have no idea how it works that way, but it will spit the logs out into the pipe. And as you can see, I have it hooked up to a diamond pipe. So I have my rubber wood going into this chest here. And as you can see, it's only been running for like 30 minutes. And it already has a stack, almost a half a stack of rubber wood. Now, what we have over here is a tree tap. It's actually called a tree tap, but not to be confused with an actual little wooden tree tap, though it does use those in its recipe. This thing will suck out theoretically any sticky resin in the trunks of the trees, but it's not necessarily needed per se for this whole system to work. If you get some resin, that's great, good for you, but if you don't worry about it. If it gets resin, it will basically, I may need to actually have this on the ground for it to work, but I'm not sure. So we'll just stick it on the ground here and then move our electrical engine down. The problem I was having here is that it was trying to power the other engine like a jerk for no reason. So we'll just hook this up and I'll put that there. We'll see if that helps. There we go. Okay. Now, oh, let's see what's going on. So, suck it out, you bitch. Oh, wait, what was that? As you can see, it's hovering around 20 because whenever these trees drop saplings, it will pick them up, and the logger picks them up and then filters them back into the arboretum in theory. But I mean, it isn't showing me any of the tree saplings. Now what I'm thinking is that in the newer version the arboretum may actually suck up the tree saplings on its own, so it doesn't need the logger to do it, but I'm not completely sure because the video that I watched was using 1.2.5 still, and we are using 1.4.2 obviously. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, so let's go back over it. You've got an arboretum. You put your humus in there. Now, in order to make humus, you need a bunch of sand and a bunch of apatite, which is this purple gem that you've probably seen a bunch of. If you've been throwing it away, don't do that anymore. Well, all you got to do to make what you're going to use the apatite and the sand to make is this fertilizer, which is this here. Apatite and sand, and you can get an absolute ton of it just from this one. You get 8. As you can see, I have 4 stacks, and I've actually made about 2 full stacks of humus with this fertilizer. All you got to do with it, and I can't show you the, well, maybe I can. Humus. Yeah. So you take the fertilizer and you surround it with dirt, and that gives you 8 humus. Then you take the humus, and you put it into this area here in your arboretum. You put the saplings in here, and here is where the sand will go. Now the sand, all that is a byproduct of the humus dying out. So as you can see, this tree has grown. Where is that going? Like, it's being pumped out, but I don't see it anywhere. Like, this thing is supposed to gather it, but it's not. If it is, maybe it's just not pumping it out because it has nowhere to put it. Maybe because I haven't labeled it, but I figured anything that's not labeled would go into this chest. Oh, Jesus. So, anyway. We'll try it later. At any rate, but yeah, the sand is just dead humus basically, and it will pick that up. The arboretum will pick up the sand and put it in here, and replace it with one of these fresh humus blocks. Then it will pipe. If you have a pipe hooked up to it, the sand will be pumped out, and I have it set up so that it goes into the same chest as my rubber wood. And you're actually going to want to keep the sand if you ever want to keep this thing running, because you need obviously more sand and apatite in order to make more humus in the end. If you really wanted to, you could probably hook it up to a project or not a project, automatic crafting table that's set up to create fertilizer. But you will need to provide obviously the apatite for it. Alright, so as you can see, we're actually running low because, as you probably know, rubber trees don't give as many saplings as normal trees do, which is unfortunate. So you probably will have to supplement the sapling supply. But as you can see, we've already got another full stack of rubber just since we've started talking. So you should be set every time you run this thing. If you just put in a stack of saplings, and or not even a stack, just some saplings, like 15 of them could in theory give you a whole stack of rubber tree wood. You'll be set for rubber for a long time, especially if you can figure out, you know, everything that and be able to, like, because you can pipe this directly into a furnace if you wanted to and have it cooking constantly, and you'll just be like rolling in rubber. So it's cool. It's all cool. But yeah, this is my system now. The easiest way to do this is, and we may actually do this, I'll probably do this in between videos because I'm just not happy with the setup, to be honest. It's just like, look at it. I started with a tower and I was like, oh, this looks cool, man. But then I realized that it was inefficient, and I ended up having to like rig it together a different way, so now it looks like crap. The easiest way to do it is to just have your arboretum in the floor, give yourself enough space so that it can build your little ring, and have it in the middle. Then put your tree tap here and your logger here, so they're just on the ground next to each other in a 2x2 block area. Power them with your engines, which you can put underneath them if you really want to hide them, and then just let them go to town, because this system that I built it looked cool at first, and then all of a sudden I realized I was going to have to make some changes, and then now it looks like a freaking abomination on my top of my roof. It looks awful. So I'm going to change that later. But this is the system you're going to need. You're going to need the engines to power them. Obviously, I have electrical engines powered by those 2 advanced solar panels. So you're going to need at least 3 engines if you're going to use your tree tap, which, like I said, is not completely necessary, but you know what I mean. And then you're going to need a logger, tree tap, and arboretum. Now, I will go briefly into what you're going to need for each of those machines before we leave, because they are a little bit confusing. For the arboretum, it's the easiest. It's the easier of the two. Between the logger and the arboretum, this one's easier. I say easier, it just means it's not easier. It's less expensive. So you need the golden electron tubes, which I had from last episode, or the episode before last, one of the episodes where I made these, and then small circuit boards. Now, for these two items, you need a carpenter for the circuit board and a thermionic fabricator for the tubes. Now, you're going to need those machines for both of the logger and the arboretum. The golden electron tube, you just put some glass in here, provide enough power for this thing to melt the glass into liquid glass. And this is a heat bar, so if you see a little bitty speck of red there because you just hooked one engine up to it, that's not enough, man. You got to hook at least 2 electrical engines up to it, and it will then be powered enough to melt some glass. You can put sand, glass, whatever the case is, and it'll make some liquid glass. Then it will use this as fuel, essentially, to make whatever pattern you have in here into tubes. Now, this is the basic pattern for an electron tube. The only thing that's going to change between each tube is what it's made out of. So we've made golden electron tubes, so gold is there. Now, that's cool. That's easy. Gold is fairly easy to come by, all things considered. For the small circuit board, you need the carpenter's table, and you need to just fill your reservoir with water, put this pattern in, and then put the tin and the redstone in the reservoir of items, the inventory that's built into the carpenter, so that it makes use of them. Because right now you've just set up the pattern, you haven't put. It won't use this. It's like an automatic crafting bench. It has one layer of this stuff, but you actually need to provide 1 tin and 6 redstone into the inventory that is built in for it to use it. Then it will make this circuit board, and it will pop up over here, and you can grab it. So that's pretty easy. This, obviously, the sturdy casing is just bronze in a square. Now, for the logger, it gets a little more intense. For the logger, it uses these diamantine electron tubes. It's the same thing, but as you guessed, it uses diamonds, and that's nuts. I had 7, now I have 2 diamonds, just because I needed to make some diamantine electron tubes for this damn logger. The small circuit board is the same, the rest of it's the same, it's just glass and a sturdy casing with the circuit board, and then instead of golden tubes, it uses these diamantine electron tubes. So there, that's that. The tree tap is easy as well to make. It is the same thing as these two, except instead of well, it's not the exact same thing. It's pretty close. It is not expensive at all, though, so you should have no problem. It has the casing, the glass, and then tree taps around the corners to make it. It's not a big deal. As you can see, my machines have cut off because it's nighttime and it's not being powered as much. But if we take a look, there's nothing in there. I've got 40 rubber. That's 31 rubber since the last time we checked. So it's going nuts. It's going nuts up in this bitch. Because it's picking up because it's picking up the saplings, as you can see, it's slowed. The rate in which it uses the saplings is slower than it would be if it wasn't picking up the saplings. So it's obviously picking up the saplings. But the problem with rubber trees, as always, is that the saplings are more rare than normal trees. They don't drop like rain. Anyway, this is pretty much it. Like I said, you want to put them on the ground. It's the easiest way to do it. I have them set up like this because I'm an idiot. But I will change it to a more simple setup. And hopefully you guys understood everything I've been saying in this episode. I'm going to leave it at that. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to comment, and I'll try to answer your questions as fast and as often as possible. If you like this episode and you want to learn more about Feed the Beast, or you want to watch me play other games, please hit the like button and hit subscribe. And in the meantime, this has been Ash here on anerdlife with another episode of Feed the Beast. See you guys next time.